Hello and welcome to Safe Schools. I'm Curtis Graves.
And I'm Andy Howard.
Andy, how are you?
I'm great, Kurt. How are you today, man?
I'm good, man. I'm good. We're on site at LEFLORE High School talking about some things that are very interesting to us and I'm sure will be to the public.
I think so, Kurt. I think today's going to be a great show. It's talking about current issues and things that I think the public is interested in talking about and knowing about. I think it's going to be a good show today. I think the audience is going to get something good out of it. We're going to have two citizens. One citizen is a policeman and a public school
Citizen policeman
and a public school graduate, and the other one is also an educator and a
teacher here at LEFLORE High School.
Teacher at here at this particular high
Right.
school. I think it's going to be a great show today. I think they're going to have some great stuff to talk about, and we'll be right back.
I believe that the quality of education that I received at the Mobile County Public School System, I would give it an A+, excellent education. And I feel that they prepared me for my future career. I feel that I received not only the fund of knowledge that I need, but the social skills, communication skills that is needed to compete with any other student, not just in Mobile County particularly, but nationwide.
The Mobile County Public Schools Signature Academies program offers a variety of specialized curriculum for highly interested and motivated students. These academies provide students with choices ranging from aviation to healthcare, advanced information technology to international studies, from engineering to coastal studies. These high-quality, hands-on programs prepare students for careers readily available in Mobile County. Signature Academies program. It starts with us.
And we're back. The Safe Schools is broadcasting from LeFlore High School today, and we got two great guests today. We've got Officer Corporal John Young with the Mobile Police Department. Welcome.
Well, thank you. Pleased to be here.
And we also have here Miss Kirsten Parnell. Am I pronouncing that right, Miss Parnell?
That's correct.
Okay, I don't want to get that wrong. Ms. Parnell is a teacher here at John L. LeFlore High School. Thank you and welcome.
Welcome to Safe Schools, folks.
Thank you.
Officer Young, we talked a little bit off camera. You're a product of the public schools yourself. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, without giving my age, I graduated from Baker High School in 1990, and I've been a police officer 23 years. I started my career in Pritchard Police Department. I've been with the Mobile Police Department 13 years, and my current assignment for the previous 5 years is the Planning and Research Unit. So, born and raised in Mobile, I'm a Mobile citizen to the core.
I heard you were a Hornet. Is that correct?
I'm proud to be a Baker Hornet. Even in LeFlore country.
Even at LeFlore,
you're
even at
old
LeFlore.
school for all that.
I'm outnumbered, but I'll represent Baker well.
That's right. Well, you hold your end.
I will.
That's right. I think you can. Kirsten, well, how about yourself? How did you end up at LeFlore as a teacher? Tell us your path.
Well, first, I am a LeFlore High School graduate, but I started my career. I started my career as a social worker. I worked in social work for about 3.5 years. Then I transitioned to the field of education. Now, as a social worker, I serviced a lot of different families that lived in poverty-stricken environments, and a lot of them did not have the education or the resources to need to rise above that situation. So I got tired of removing kids from the home, which separating families. And at DHR, you have individualized service plans, and those are plans that are incorporated to assist family with different services to help them meet their needs and be successful in the community. But a lot of times, even with those resources, I still would have to remove kids from the home, and that was very unfortunate. So I got tired of removing kids, so I just decided to switch careers and go into the field of education. Therefore, I can lay that foundation of knowledge and awareness to prevent the family unit from being removed and preserve the family.
So proactive instead of reactive.
That's right.
So being here at LeFlore High School is like being back home then, right?
It's
Since you
like
graduated
being back at home.
And
That's
you can
right.
tolerate being next to a baker graduate, right?
Yes, we got to work together, but
Right.
yeah.
We're not so bad once you get to know us.
You know, we want to talk about several things, and we're going to jump back and forth, but Corporal Young, let's talk about some of the programs that the police department is currently doing now in terms of outreach, and how important is that to you as an officer?
Well, Chief Barber, when he became police chief 2 years ago, he'd already had his strategic plan written. And part of that strategic plan was more community outreach. And three of the more popular programs that we're utilizing is the Next Door Neighbor, which is, it gives the communities in that Mobile the opportunity to go online and be in connection with the police department constantly. In this day and age of social media, we are using that as one way to reach the community. Another is you still have a choice. Like you said earlier, we are proactive now instead of reactive. If we can solve the problem of crime before it occurs, then we've not just reduced crime, we've eliminated it. So we're reaching out to students in the Mobile County Public School System, which you still have a choice, and explaining to them you don't have to follow the path of whatever's popular now. You don't have to follow the path of crime.
You have a choice.
You have a choice, and that's what Chief Barber's message is. And the third is Second Chance, and that's for individuals who are recently paroled or just got out of prison, helping them reacclimate to society. In this technological age we live in, if you've missed 5 years, you've missed a lifetime of technology.
Right.
So we want to bridge that gap, give them the feeling of hope that they can succeed and decrease the amount of recidivism. And again, my being here is as a result of Chief Barber's plan, his vision for the city of communicating with the public and making them be a part and have some responsibility in this.
They still have a choice.
Absolutely. We all have a choice until the box goes in the hole.
And,
you know?
and we're going to do a lot of stuff before that and try to give them an opportunity to succeed every way we can. And you know, I just think that as a police officer, as a classroom teacher, you're on the front line of making this happen, making our citizens able to succeed and thrive in life. And you know, more than almost a whole segment of our larger society, you two represent a huge impact on how young people and how citizens succeed in
I would
life.
dare say that they represent 75% of what happens in the future for young people, with not considering the fact that young people do ultimately hold their own faith in their hands when it comes down to their education. But you guys are instrumental in doing that and helping them see that path, especially with the outreach programs that the police department is currently doing. And as a teacher, someone here to navigate a young person, try to direct them in a path that will lead them to success. How do you feel about the current things that we see in society today? I would dare say the incident that happened in South Carolina. Both of you all, I'm sure, have your opinion of what happened recently with that issue. You know what I'm talking about, right? This is the issue in which the teacher the resource officer came into the classroom. What's your take on that? Either one of you.
Well, my take on that issue, I feel like we have to teach our kids to respect authority. They still have to be obedient. I don't necessarily support what the police officer did, but at the same time, the student was asked on 3 separate occasions to put the cell phone away. Now, I do believe at some point the student should have respected the authority that was before them. And I just feel like because of that student's choice was the result of the officer's actions.
And I know I just put you on the spot with that question, but this is a candid conversation that we want to have because people need to hear our opinions.
Yeah.
Because everyone has an opinion. And whether it's wrong or right or whatever, the bottom line is that we all do have an opinion, but we all can agree that there's a proper way to do everything from all aspects, from the law enforcement side as well as from the side of the student. How do you feel about that, Corporal Young?
Well, that's why the chief has become so proactive in outreaching to the community. We want the public to be confident in us and understand that we have nothing to hide. We want them to be a participant in the entire legal process and have an interest in their neighborhood. The first thing the chief wants everyone to know is that communication is key. You can contact the chief of police. You can contact the shift supervisor or the precinct commander, and if that doesn't satisfy, you can contact internal affairs. The incident in South Carolina is an unfortunate thing depending on your perspective. What we want to remind Mobilians is that did not happen here.
Right.
That's first and foremost. We don't want to be held accountable for anything that happened in South Carolina or Missouri or anywhere else, right?
Absolutely.
But if there's ever an incident involving a police officer and a student or anyone else, the public needs to understand that we are willing to give as much information as we're able. There will be a thorough investigation, and we want them to be patient with us and understand the process. One of the things that was recommended to me is let's have a sit down before there are problems. Let's sit down with the community and explain to them when there's an investigation, these are the steps in the process. That way the public understands that we can't rush to judgment because social media says this occurred or because the news has reported this. There is a process. And when Mobilians understand that process, they understand then that we have nothing to hide, but we have to be thorough.
Part of the process is paying bills, so we're going to take a brief break and we'll be right back.
Okay.
Do you have what it takes to be an Envision graduate? We are pioneering students to be all they can be, from 6th grade all the way to 12th grade.
I definitely would recommend Envision to other students who feel the way I feel. They really work with you, and they've gotten tutors, and you have online teachers to talk to.
It starts right here. It starts right now. Envision Virtual Academy. Enroll today.
Hello, my name is Teresa Montgomery, and I'm here to give you a few facts about food allergies. Research says that 15 million Americans have food allergies. Did you know that roughly 30,000 Americans go to the emergency room each year due to food allergies? Food allergies affects 1 in every 13 children in the United States. The economic cost of children's food allergies is roughly $25 billion per year. If you want to know more facts about food allergies, you can visit www.foodallergies.org.
And we're back. Safe Schools with Officer Young and Teacher Parnell. Mr. Officer Young, you were just talking a little bit about involvement and responsibility of the citizen, and you should know your rights, and you should know your responsibilities.
Absolutely.
And I think both of those things are pertinent in this conversation. You were talking about the rights of the citizens. There are rights you have. You need to know what they are. There are responsibilities that you have. You should know what they are. Now, if you fail to make choices, responsible choices about what to do, somebody else will. And unfortunately, you have to wonder in this situation that we're talking about today, you know, where were the choices made or not made, and the consequences or impact that occurred in the lives of those several people.
Right.
But I think, though, as educators and as law enforcement personnel, it's our duty to also show them that they do have choices and how to conduct themselves. And we have to also be reflective of that ourselves and make sure that we are making the right choices as we go through our days. The police department, Chief Barber, has several programs, as you stated earlier. One is the STYLE program, Successful Tips for Youth and Law Enforcement Encounters, or Bridging the Gap. That's a national program that started here in the city of Mobile through the Mobile Police Department that's now gone nationwide. And that program is set up to help young people see the right way as well as the wrong way to handle situations, putting emphasis on the right way, because the wrong way, anyone can do the wrong way, okay? Anyone can, but anyone can do the right way too, in terms of how do you respond to a domestic situation where law enforcement is called? How do you handle a traffic stop when law enforcement stops you, pulls you over for something, for a traffic infraction? Or what happens when a law enforcement officer approaches you on the street because he or she is doing their job to investigate a situation where someone may have called and said that something appears suspicious pertaining to you being in a location that you may or may not should be in.
That's absolutely right. What the public should demand and deserve is a professional, well-trained police force. That should be the battle cry of every citizen. We want the police department to behave professionally and be well-trained. The citizens' responsibility in that is to respect the authority, even if you disagree with it. Along with that, we don't have a problem with coming to your church, house, or school and explaining what your constitutional rights are. We abide by the Constitution and state laws, and we don't plan on hiding anything from anyone. If you have a question, Curtis, you know I'll go and speak to anyone about anything, and you know I'm a tool for you to use. So there can't be any gray areas. If your privileges are violated, then you follow up by calling and reporting that officer.
There are laws that dictate those things.
Absolutely.
Use the laws.
Absolutely, and we have to follow those laws. I guarantee you, Chief Barber will not tolerate unprofessional violators of rights and laws. We don't have any, we base everything we do on public trust. If the public doesn't trust us, then our job has become 1,000 times more difficult.
Director Comey of the FBI made a comment or made a statement that is part of the DVD that we are currently promoting in all the schools, not just here but across the nation. And he states in that DVD that we have to see one another. Law enforcement as well as citizens of this country. We have to see each other. That's a challenge. That's a challenge because we don't always see each other. We don't always recognize that you matter. Okay, law enforcement matters, that citizen matters. But we have to find a way to better communicate with each other by first taking down those walls and allowing one another to hear the other. And having a healthy conversation, because we can't have, we're having a healthy conversation right now. We may not agree on everything that we're discussing with each other, but we're having a healthy conversation and we're taking something back from one another.
There's certainly more agreement among the citizens than disagreement among the citizens and law enforcement. And one thing that we all agree on is nobody likes crime.
No.
Nobody wants to be a victim of a crime. And just like the police don't like criminals, the citizens don't like criminals. And we want the community to be safe. And so we have that common interest, that common wish for our city to be this city, to be the safest city in America. And buy-in, that we agree with each other about that we collaborate and work with each other for that, makes that happen. Now, you can't arrest enough people to change hearts, but you can educate enough to change hearts, to change efforts. That's teaching. Wow, Ms. Parnell. You know, we talked about one side of that conversation. Let's talk a little bit about the other side of that conversation. Cooperation from your students is usually important, not just for discipline. Of course, discipline is usually important, but you can't teach if you don't have discipline going on in your classroom. And you know, I'm sure you have some ideas, some thoughts in your mind as to how you apply that, gaining buy-in with your students. So
how do you do that?
How do you do that?
Well, first off, you have to be consistent. And also you have to gain a relationship and a rapport with those students. And also let them feel that you really care and concerned about their overall well-being. Once they find that that they can trust you and that you really care about them, I do believe that if you lead, they will follow. Because a lot of times at home, they don't have the stability, they don't have that trust. But once they get to school, and if you're that one person that can make a difference in their life and they feel that they can trust you, then they bought in. And
you just hit on that, say trust, genuineness.
Right.
They need to see that. They need to see that you're being genuine. And you don't have to be one that gives in to everything, because that defeats the purpose of trying to direct. But there has to be a genuineness, not just in teaching, but in law enforcement as well, how we serve the public, because we do serve the public. Okay, we are servants of the people in what we do. So it's important that we make sure that those people know that we are genuine.
And people know when you're not sincere. So if they feel that you're truly sincere, they'll follow you, they'll buy in.
Well, one factor that probably would be helpful in the public understanding is you all aren't getting rich doing this.
Not at all.
Not even close.
Not at all.
So your motivation for doing this has got to be bigger than just being here for a salary. You're here for something bigger than that.
Right.
And I'm sorry to cut you off because I know that you had something you wanted to say. But we're going to take a quick commercial break and we'll be right back.
Did you know that the graduation rate for Mobile County is 82% and rising? That's because Mobile County Public Schools is equipping our students to be college and career ready. Did you also know that 144 of our AP scholars excelled high on the advanced placement exams to earn college credit? And with more signature academies and career technical programs, we are finding additional ways of keeping our students engaged. Building futures, it starts with us.
Hi, I'm Martha Peak, Superintendent of Mobile County Public Schools.
And I'm Kay Ivey, your Lieutenant Governor.
We want to remind you to use caution while operating motor vehicles in school zones.
And remember to observe all traffic laws relating to school bus safety and stop ahead when you see red.
Protecting and keeping our children safe, it starts with us.
Hi, I'm Pat Mitchell, Transportation Director for the Mobile County Public School System. Remember, stop ahead when you see red.
And we're back. We're going to continue to talk about this South Carolina issue that happened in the school in reference to the law enforcement officer, resource officer. He was a deputy that came into the school. He worked there, actually. People knew him very well. Let's frame what we saw on television. I mean, we can only go on what we saw on the video clip that was shown to us. So that's what we're going to use, not determining wrong or right, but what we saw. And what we saw was a young lady, obviously, who refused to give up her cell phone. I don't know if it was necessarily disrupting the educational process by failing to do that, in my opinion. But from that, I saw the administrator come in, and she failed to comply, which is it's a serious issue for school. Okay, it's not criminal, but it's a serious issue for a school that have responses to that in terms of infractions, suspensions. That ultimately led to the officer coming into the classroom and approaching the young lady, and at which time the incident occurred. That incident, as a person who has worked in law enforcement for over 20 years, I was a bit bothered by it. I felt that the tactics could have been handled a different way. And this is solely my opinion, okay? This is not something that I'm condemning anyone on. But we're talking candid today, right? We want to have a healthy discussion about it. As a teacher, how do you feel about that?
Well, from the video that I saw, and from my understanding, the student was given 3 directives. One from the principal, that's the person that's in charge, who said over the school. And then the teacher mentioned something to the student as well. And there was someone else, I think, came in the room and asked the student to put away the telephone. Now, I felt like the student should have been obedient and put down the phone. Now, in the video that I saw, when the officer came over to the student, this is the video that I saw, and I saw it in slow motion. I know there's several different videos out there, but the one in particular that I saw, the officer came over to retrieve the phone from the student, and in the process, she stood up and she pushed him. Okay. That's the video that I saw.
I didn't see that.
That's the video that I saw. Okay. So at that time, I do believe because of the student's action that transpired as a result of that student's action, the officer responded the way he was supposed to respond. Now, I'm not in agreement with the officer's action, but as I said previously, if the student would have been obedient, if she would have respected authority, then the whole situation would have never taken place.
I agree. Corporal Young, how do you feel about it?
Well, I think you touched on it, Kurt. The most important thing to remember is because something is rude or disruptive, that doesn't make it illegal or criminal. Police deal with crimes that are committed. And when you introduce us into any situation, there's only so many solutions we have because we're police officers. We do act like counselors sometimes, but we are at the end of the day police officers, and we enforce law. For the infraction of talking on a cell phone, that should have been handled administratively, in my opinion, because you cuff the officer's hands at what he's allowed to do at that point. Hey, she won't put her phone down, call the police. Well, no, that's really an administrative problem. And in this day and age of hyper social media context, before the truth can get out, it's blasted on the news, it's blasted over Facebook and the internet before the truth really gets out, and we're sort of behind on that. What could the officer have done? Could he have called 5 more police officers? That would have looked bad. Should he have stood there for an hour pleading with the girl for the phone? That also would have looked bad. So I believe we need to make a distinction between administrative problems and criminal problems before we introduce the police.
Okay, well, let me ask a question. Now, if I'm not mistaken, the principal was called in, right? So they tried to handle it through administration, but the students still did not cooperate. So I think as the last result, that's when the resource officer came in. But I do think they followed the chain of command, the teacher, the principal. You know, I think the chain of command was followed.
Okay. Well, I will say this in conclusion of this conversation. I think we have roughly a minute left. But what I do want to say is that in the time that we sit here, we won't have enough time to conclude or come to a bipartisan agreement, for lack of a better term, that one was right, one was wrong. But what I do want to say is that we have to have more conversations like this. And you can do it without arguing. We can do it without blaming the other. But find ways of identifying best practices.
Yeah, this show is all about safe schools. And that's what we're trying to have a conversation here today. I think this is an excellent dialogue on what it takes to make a school safe. I think we had the right people to have that kind of conversation, officer and teacher. This is a Safe Schools show. We appreciate you all contributing to our show and giving us a great dialogue on what it takes to make schools safe, communities safe, make us all better.
That's what we're here for.
We appreciate what you guys do. Choices, guys. I guess that's one of the things we want to encourage ultimately is choices. And when a person fails to make wise, informed choices, they reduce the options they have available to them. And then there's another part of this conversation that I just wanted to throw in. Every time we do something now, it's in front of a camera. Thanks for being in front of this camera.
And we're going to conclude by saying we didn't hurt anyone's feelings, right?
No,
Everything's good.
I like to say, Curtis, let's have these conversations before the problem arises.
And we will. And
Good.
we will. And we're going to conclude. We're just going to say that we had a very healthy and candid conversation. And this was Safe Schools. And good night.